Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Vegan TourGuide Podcast with your host, Mike Knight, where we'll bring you great information about a vegan plant-based diet. It doesn't matter if you've been vegan for years, part-time vegan, or just gathering more information. This podcast is for you. Thanks again for joining, and let's get today's tour started.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Vegan TourGuide Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Knight. I hope you're having a phenomenal day. Hey, everybody that's coming back to join us from past episodes. Really appreciate it. Thanks so much for the support and coming back. If the people you've been referring to us, really appreciate that. And for those first-timers, thanks so much for tuning in. Hopefully you know that really appreciate that. Really appreciate your support as well. And the goal of the show, just so you know, is always want to bring you information and bring people on the podcast that tell you about their journeys, what maybe, change their lives, a tipping point, sometimes I like to call it, that had them going down the path, to vegan, plant-based lifestyle, and they tell you about that. And so you could find out information and relate to them, because I find that's one of those great things in life. When we find people, things, et cetera, that we can relate to, that makes it more accessible and, and easier, if you will, for us, because that's what it was for me in the beginning was, it seemed like a daunting thing, this whole, hey, switch my life to plant-based vegan. But as I heard about more and more people doing it and people that were just like me, I was like, all right, it is doable. So that is, one of my biggest goals of the show, just to give you information, and to help you along the way, whether it be recipes or, and this year you're going to hear a lot about, not only food, but, bodybuilding and getting in shape and fitness and ways to do that. And so that is what I want to do. I really appreciate you tuning in. And for everybody, as you know, you can always hear past episodes and everything at vegantourguide.com. So thank you so much again for tuning in. Today's show is brought to you by My Health Design. And you go to myhealthdesign.com. And what, a lot of times I get asked by people, maybe some things I take, whether it be just, I got some knees from back in wrestling, I'm one of those people, whenever it rains, I can tell you when it's going to rain because, some of my joints, from wrestling days and stuff like that. And so something I found back in the day was, CBD, a hemp product. And so it's, I've tried different ones and I realized that I really like the one that's at myhealthdesign.com, basically because of the way they put it together. And it's kind of what they call the nanotechnology. And it's one of those products that, hemp has been around for 3,000 plus years for everything from, PTSD, migraines, helping people sleep, joints and all, like I was saying, stuff like that. There's a long list of what it helps with. And so it's something I want to endorse and just tell people about it. Because, again, myhealthdesign.com to get that and find out more information about it. So today's show. Talking about great things, got Mr. Will Tucker on today's show, 4-time natural bodybuilding champion. Will brings a lot of information on this show. It was awesome talking to him. He talks about, what like the tipping point moment was to him. It's really a cool story as to what kind of transformed in his life and what took him down the path to plant-based vegan, and how he incorporated that into, his working out. And Will's also a fitness instructor. So not only is Will going to tell you about his journey, but he's going to bring you a lot of information about how he does it, how he stays in this phenomenal shape. You'll see, pictures on the blog posts and all like that of Will. I mean, like I said, 4-time natural bodybuilding champion. So right there, when the guy hits the stage, I mean, his body is just cut and shredded. And so he does it. All right, because a lot of us are always wondering, maybe some of you just tuning in for the first time or having the questions, one of the big questions, hey, can you get, your protein? Hey, can you get, the lean muscle mass and all like that? Will is literally, the walking, living example of that. And so he's going to give great information on that, great information that he gives to his clients. So those of you listening that want some of that information, like, hey, what do I do just starting out, coming out of the gate? Will's going to give you that. So I invite you all to listen to Mr. Will Tucker.
All right, everybody. I have Will Tucker. I want to welcome him to the Vegan Tour Guide. How are you?
Hey, how's it going? Everything's good on my end.
And this is fantastic. It is so exciting to have you. I barely missed you when you were in Charlotte, but I'm so glad we can connect now.
Yeah, I'm glad we could connect now, too. Yeah, I was in and out of Charlotte so fast. I had another engagement in L.A. the following day, so I was only in Charlotte in a few hours, it felt like.
Gotcha. I hear you. Well, look, I mean, I want to dig in and talk all about what you've got going on. I always love starting out with people telling their story. I know a lot of people know about you. However, at the same time, some of the people that listen to my show, they're like brand new, just gathering information and all like that. And so I'd love for you to tell them about you. I mean, I know I love having on. We got a 4-time champion. I mean, bodybuilding extraordinaire. I mean, you're bodybuilding extraordinaire, personal trainer, and I just saw something. I mean, master waffle maker. I think I saw something.
I wouldn't claim that title. I'm working on it.
Man, I love that video. I saw that video on Facebook, and I was like, oh, I can't wait to talk about that. I love that.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
Yeah. Well, let's just start, if you don't mind, just from the beginning. Like the beginning with you. I know from reading it, I'm going to let you tell it, but I know you're kind of like me, did things, and it seemed that from what I read, gradual as far as your path to total plant-based. So I'd love for you to just kind of start there and tell people maybe what were, some tipping points, those aha moments for you, kind of how all that looked and progressed.
Okay, cool. Yeah, well, like you said, my name is Will Tucker. I'm a 4-time natural bodybuilding champion. I own and operate WTF, or Will Tucker Fitness here in Gilbert, Arizona, which is a suburb right outside of Phoenix. I'm also a contributor to Vegan Health and Fitness magazine, public speaker, as you saw me there in Charlotte, or we missed each other rather, but I was there, believe it or not.
I heard great things. I heard a lot of great things.
Yeah, I was there. We had a good time. Sorry you missed it. And let's see, my journey started, I'm a Midwestern guy. I'm originally from East St. Louis, Illinois, so I was raised on, animal products exclusively for the most part. I mean, each and every meal had some type of, whether it was animal flesh, animal secretions, it was always something. When we didn't have a meat, it was a weird feeling like, okay, is everything all right? Where's the meat? It's just kind of commonplace with that Midwestern meat and potato kind of conditioning. So let's fast forward to, after college, I started working in mortgage banking. And when the economy took that downturn there back in mid to late 2000s, I found myself transferring out to the West Coast. So let's go ahead and get right into, that was 2006, Thanksgiving Day. I have a bunch of friends from the St. Louis area who also transferred out here with a certain bank that we worked for at that time. They had a traditional Thanksgiving because, we were going to stay out here and not go back home. So at one of the friends' house, we had the turkey, the trimmings, the whole nine. Had a good time there, and I will honestly say that's the last time I had any type of meat. Because on that evening, after I left there, with this huge plate of leftovers, of course, you can't leave without leftovers. I go back to my place. And I turn on the television, I'm flipping through the channels, and somehow I wound up on the National Geographic channel. Don't ask me how. I'm usually a Sports Center or CNN kind of guy, but yeah, on the National Geographic channel. And there was a documentary on about animals being born and the connection between the mom and the baby. Something about that really drew me in, and at that point, I just realized I'm eating somebody's baby. I made the connection about animals being sentient beings at that point. It's a soul, it's a life. Prior to that, outside of domesticated animals, dogs, cats, I never thought about it that way, never. And that little time I spent watching the last half of that documentary really opened my eyes and changed my life. That day, Thanksgiving 2006, I threw all the meat I had out of my house. I got rid of every piece of meat and hadn't looked back and eaten meat since. Now, wow. I still did dairy and eggs, but all the meat was gone after watching that documentary.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of how it happened. So that was 2006, And like I said, I still did limited dairy and eggs. Never really, was fond of too much dairy other than ice cream. Of course, we're all lactose intolerant. Shouldn't be suckling off a cow, So, but so I never was really into milk, but ice cream, I guess, was the one dairy weakness, along with cheese, of course, which they make addictive. And eggs on occasion because, in the bodybuilding and fitness world, hey, you need some protein, bro. You got to, slam about 20 egg whites and, et cetera, all the nonsense you hear in a traditional bodybuilding sense. So I didn't give those things up. And then 5 years later, well, let me add this in too. So this was back when Borders Bookstore was still around. And I was searching and came across a book from an author by the name of Robert Cheek, who is also now a really good friend of mine. He also lives in the area now, called Vegan Bodybuilding and Fitness. And that's when I was just starting to compete. And then I saw these amazing vegan athletes and, doing their thing that he had highlighted in the book. And, of course, seeing him, it was a huge inspiration. So that fall, October 1st, 2011, I said, I'm going to issue myself a 30-day challenge and try to get rid of the limited dairy and eggs that were still in my nutritional profile, if you will. I stopped on, I started on October 1st. 2 weeks in, I said, wow, I feel amazing. I don't need that stuff. And I haven't looked back since. Been 100% plant-based since October 1st, 2011.
Nice. Well, all right, so let's go with what did you feel, especially someone like you in the physical shape you're in, and, in bodybuilding and the training you put in, what were the first things you noticed or maybe even felt when, you went, like you said, just totally into this transformation and removed those?
I felt so much lighter. It was almost like a physical weight had been on me. I mean, I just felt lighter immediately, a couple weeks in when I was amazed at how I felt and how my training didn't suffer and how the recovery was just so immediate. And every day I wake up recharged and feeling so alive. And I just knew I made the right decision. And I'm not saying I had the best, nutritional profile at that time. I mean, I was competing and training to compete. However, us vegans, we love our comfort foods now. Let's be for real. So I was still incorporating a lot of the comfort foods on occasion, or cheat meals as they're called in the fitness realm. But everything just felt so much better once I eliminated the limited dairy and definitely the eggs out of my nutrition. Like I said, the recovery and just that overall feeling of wellness, it was astounding. I was amazed.
Well, I tell you what, and I got to say, I thought that's probably what you'd say, because based on my personal experiences, and also when people I've interviewed in the past, like David Carter, and he was talking about when he went, the NFL went plant-based, same thing. And I love that you pointed it out, because I love the listeners hearing that. So, they hear it so many times from different people, different sources of saying, look, you're going to feel better. You're going to train better. I mean, it's just amazing what happens to your body when you just trust and you go with what's right.
Yes, it is. It's amazing. And I encourage interview listeners out there. I mean, I would assume, a good portion of them are already plant-based, but if there are any listeners out there who are on the fence or considering it, or they're new to the lifestyle, do it. You will thank yourself, and you will wonder, how did I live my life? I thought I was feeling good before. It's one of those things. You think you feel good until you know what really feeling good feels like.
Yep. Exactly. I mean, because even with me, that's, as I started phasing things out, I just remember something felt wrong. When it's funny, you talk about Thanksgiving, something felt wrong to me after a big Thanksgiving meal, when I have to literally my body says, you need to lay down on a couch and just feel like you're going to slip into a coma. Something finally even resonated with me. It was just there's something not right about this, that you should feel that way.
Yes. I mean, that's that's common, after that big Thanksgiving meal and you eating, plateful after plateful, and your body just needs to crash because of the digestive process that uses a huge amount of your body's energy reserves and trying to digest that heavy meal, especially with animal products, and it taxes that energy. And of course, that's all you want to do is lay down and go into a coma pretty much.
Oh, yeah. Well, right.
Definitely.
Well, let's do this, right? So we see kind of what your journey was in progression. So, let me ask you that. So when you got people coming in, because as you said earlier, you are a personal trainer, also, and amongst the many things you do. But so when people are coming to you, and so therefore for people listening, what are some of the first things you're telling them or maybe guiding them on when they're coming to you saying, look, I want to almost follow in your footsteps. How do I do it? How do I, go plant-based and also still get my body, in great shape and all? What are some out-of-the-gate things maybe you suggest, get people to do?
First thing I do, especially with, brand new clients who aren't even familiar with the lifestyle or they've never even considered it. That's kind of interesting. I get a few different types of clients. I get the ones that are already vegan or plant-based, and I'm like a breath of fresh air. Oh, my God, a vegan trainer. My last trainer was trying to tell me to eat chicken, fish. I'm not going to hit my goals, the nonsense that we've all heard. The second type of client is the one that saw a documentary or two and is aware of the benefits, however, just never really applied them and needs guidance. That's my favorite client because they come in, they're just like clay, ready to be molded and sculpted. They're all ears. They're chomping at the bit. They think I walk on air. They're just like, give me the formula. I'm ready. I've seen it. I'm a believer. I'm awakened. I'm no longer going for all the conditioning and the things, if they grew up on, they're ready. Those are my favorites. And I usually take them and guide them through, based on their preferences, because every fitness professional, when they say, custom meal plan just for you, you've probably heard it all before. The customization is just based on the person's preferences and whether or not they have any food allergies and the like. That's custom. So don't get fooled by that trap either when you hear people say a custom meal plan just for you. Yes, it's based on what's palatable to the person and anything that's not going to send them into an allergic reaction, basically. So with that knowledge, then we have certain foods. I myself, and we can talk about this later if you want. I don't want to jump ahead. I believe in the power of intermittent fasting. What that means is it's periods where you don't eat and periods where you feed yourself. So the first thing we do is set parameters on what's going to be their feeding window, and that's based on what's happening in their world, domestically speaking, if they have, kids, school, work. I usually start them with a certain start time, end time, whatever works in their world, where they're allowed to, that's their feeding window, and then anything outside there is the fasting period. I found that to be hugely beneficial for people, especially people that are coming off a standard American diet, to kind of start to get some of the gunk out of their digestive system, because if you know anything about our animal products, they just pretty much decay and they just sit there. The average American is probably walking around with 15, 20 pounds of just, let's just call it fecal matter, decomposed, rotten corpse flesh from consuming animal protein, just sitting in their colon, just sitting. And it causes a few different things. One, you're not going to be able to absorb nutrients if you decide to have a clean meal, as they call it nowadays, because you have so much gunk in there blocking things up. So what I typically do is start the intermittent fasting protocol, and usually it's heavy in fruit. Now, you said you missed my talk, but everybody in Charlotte knows how much I preach about consuming whole ripe fresh fruit. That's going to be your number one source. That's nature's perfect food for the humans. A lot of people hear things from medical professionals about food has too much sugar and the like, and it causes this, or if you're diabetic, you shouldn't be doing it. Those are flat out myths or lies. That fruit has an innate ability to, the body heals itself when you give it that rest period where you're doing the fasting versus the feeding window. 2, fruit has all the antioxidants, nutrients, phytonutrients, vitamins, minerals that your body really needs to thrive on a cellular level. When a client comes to me, whether they're obese, let's just say it's someone that's seriously obese. A lot of people see a person that's greedy, gluttonous. I see somebody that's starving, nutritionally speaking. So you want to incorporate not necessarily calorie-dense foods, but nutrient-dense foods.
Okay.
Lower calorie, however, high nutrient quality. And as I spoke about what's going on inside of most people coming off the standard American diet, that food has the ability to kind of get things moving through and start to push through and cleanse the digestive tract out. And once you get that going, your body starts to absorb and utilize a lot of the nutrients that you're going to get from consuming a high fruit diet.
Cool. Any particular fruits?
Man, just kind of anything that the client likes. Like I say, I base everything on what their preferences are.
Gotcha.
I'm not the one that believe in the whole, you probably heard the superfoods or superfruits and this and that. I've eaten many kind of exotic as well as regular fruits, if you will, and I've never donned a cape and jumped over a tall building and superpowers. So they are super, they're all super in their own right, you know.
Okay.
I go for that, anything better than the other. And typically what I always suggest is they start the day out with a mono fruit, meaning one type of any fruit as much as their body wants. Now, in that feeding window, I don't put them on a set schedule where they're eating every 2 to 3 hours like you may have heard some fitness practitioners say, eat every 3 hours, small meal, keep your metabolism revved up. I don't put people on a feeding schedule. I have a designated start and end time, anything in between. I teach them how to be in accord with their body. When your body feels it needs to be fed, go ahead and eat. If it doesn't, stop eating. And that mono fruit being the first meal usually sets things up for a good day. 1, it's easy to digest. 2, as I spoke about the benefits of starting to clean out the intestinal tract.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Nice. So I imagine, like you said, that's kind of introductory. Where are, is that first couple of weeks, 3 weeks, or is it almost like a monitoring, just getting feedback from the client, how they feel? How long they may do that, or?
I base everything on how their body responds, how they're feeling, and any noticeable changes, because a lot of people, let's just be honest, come in and they're on a cocktail of prescription medications, and typically I'm going toe-to-toe with their doctor who thinks they know everything because they have some type of degree hanging on the wall. And what I typically advocate is so, I guess, unorthodox in a traditional medical sense, however, highly effective. And usually within a few weeks, the doctor is on my team like, okay, whatever you're doing, just keep doing it. But usually in the beginning, like, oh, he's a trainer, I'm a doctor, I know everything. Don't listen to him.
I'll tell you what, I think unorthodox is in. I mean, I think this is what maybe you and I need to just make a shirt that says unorthodox is in. Because as you and I both see, man, you see it. I mean, I've seen your posts about it as well. The whole plant-based movement all across the board keeps moving, getting more and more accepted. And people are seeing, what's really in it, the integrity in it, and that it works. So I love unorthodox. Oh, yeah. All right. Well, keep going. I love it.
Yeah, and like I say, typically the doctors or the ones that are on medications, their doctors have given me a hard time in the past, but after a while they just wonder, like, okay, what is the secret? And I'm like, it's no secret. It's just incorporating more whole food, plant-based, diet into this person's lifestyle. It's no secret. It's nothing. Even the best plant-based docs, I mean, I know quite a few of them rather personally, and they always say the same thing. They never learned any of this in med school. Unfortunately, doctors aren't being taught about the benefits of a whole food plant-based lifestyle. They're only taught to suppress things and write a prescription. I'm longing for the day when somebody goes to their doctor complaining, and instead of writing a prescription, they write a grocery list. I mean, that's where your body has the ability to heal. It's so much of the disease and the things that we see that are commonplace are strictly due to dietary choices that people make. I mean, make no mistake, I'm talking about the nation's top killers, the heart disease, the cancers, the diabetes. These things could easily be eradicated and reversed if people would just look at what they're putting in their body. Your body has the innate ability to heal itself. That's why I like the fasting, because as I mentioned, how digestion takes away so much energy, you let your body hold on to that energy and do what it needs to do from a physiological standpoint. And I'm speaking on a cellular level. You give it that resting period so that it can recuperate, regenerate, and come back stronger, and then feed it just the majority of the right foods. You can still have that cheat meal, that comfort food meal, plant-based, of course. But if you just let your body do what it needs to do, and people are, instead of that, they're compounding issues by taking all these toxic medications that are meant to suppress things, when what your body is doing when you feel an illness coming on, it's attempting to get back right. That's the weird part about it.
Yeah. I mean, it's like you said. I mean, everybody wants to prescribe those things. And because, a lot of people, how it is in this day and age we live, everything is so fast, so easy. It's funny. I was talking to someone the other day about even making videos when I release podcasts and all. And the guy reminded me, he said, look, Mike, I know you're a big communicator. You like to talk. He goes, you got to remember, nowadays they've got to be like 30 or 45 seconds. I was like, really? He goes, man, that's the world now. He goes, your videos and all, you got to make them 30, 45 seconds. You can't be 3, 4, 5 minutes. And it's the same thing. Everybody wants that one pill. And, and I get people that ask me about, going plant-based and all. And I say, look, number one, I totally view it as a lifestyle. It's a lifestyle, and I've changed in my life. I say I've incorporated not only my, quote, typical working out, but, I shift up my workouts. I incorporate yoga. I incorporate different types of meditation, all these things, because I tell people it's like the spokes on a wheel. It's not the one thing, one pill. And that's what, a lot of times, like you were saying, doctors want to throw at us is that one pill where it's the fuel. I mean, it's amazing sometimes that we don't want to look at the fuel that goes in that creates our body, the temple, that's why the temple gets messed up. And it's like everybody wants to look at everything else and point fingers everywhere else instead of there.
Absolutely. You're 100% correct.
Man, well, look, all right, let me ask you this. So if I could ask you too, for some of the people listening, especially, we talked about, what you're doing for people that may come in, like you said, kind of just starting out or getting back into working out or needing to lose weight and all like that. How about some of my listeners here that are tuning in that already are working out, maybe even, if you will, they've got some size or shape to them, and they're in the process or making the transition to plant-based. What is your advice for them as far as maybe some good meals? I mean, like good meals, supplements. Do you prescribe the supplements kind of for you and anything, stuff like that? Kind of what do you take people down? If someone came to you in shape, but they want to, get that, quote, beach body, or they want to add some lean muscle mass, how do you approach those people?
Okay. Well, first, let me tell you this. I'm 100% absolutely against any supplements.
Gotcha.
So let's start there. I'm not.
That's why I asked. That's why I was wondering, because that's why I even asked. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't ever recommend them. Now, I'll be honest. I've tried some in the past. I've done the post-workout protein shaking, got caught up in all that nonsense before. But the last several years, it's 100% supplement free, and I will never go back to using them, nor will I ever suggest them to anybody. I mean, my process has been an evolution, so to speak. So I've been there, and I'm speaking from experience. There's no real benefit to them. It's just a waste of money. If you like making these companies rich to promote all these protein pills, powders, and concoctions, you go for it. All you're going to end up with potentially harm that you're going to do trying to filter that stuff out of your body to your kidneys and the like, and expensive urine. That's all you're going to get from the supplements, from what I've learned.
Okay.
So if someone's in shape, depending on specifically what their goals are, like I said, I'm a huge believer in the intermittent fasting. I don't care what type of shape they're in. If they're trying to take it to that next level, I really think it's essential to incorporate the intermittent fasting. And based on, like I said, the person's schedule or what their domestic world is like, would set up a timetable for their feeding window versus their fasting window. Now, I touched on it a little bit. I'm a high fruit consumer. I'm probably about 80% raw, and it's straight fruits. it's not going to be anything more beneficial you can feed your body than fruit.
Okay.
Hands down, number one. I don't want to go against the grain, no pun intended, but secondary foods, if you're going to be plant-based, your greens, your lentils, your grains, things like that. I found them to be filling, but not as beneficial for me. Now, I'm going to speak strictly for me. However, a person is trying to go plant-based and trying to get there, go ahead and incorporate some greens, and the like. For me, it's high fruit, and that's the best thing you can do. I'm trying to get to that 100% fruitarian stage, which I struggle with because I'm married and I come in the evening and my wife cooks, and, you smell something, you get taken aback by it and you give in. But for that person, definitely, depending on what their workout regimen looks like, I would definitely suggest the mono fruit, as I said earlier, how I incorporate with a lot of clients to come see me.
Okay.
That'd be your first meal, because that's going to pave the way for the ease of digestion and ease up some things internally on a physiological level for the rest of the day. So you always incorporate that whenever your first meal comes through. From there, like I said, greens are going to be secondary. Then if you do grains and the starches and the complex carbohydrates, if you will, sweet potatoes, things like that.
Okay.
And if you're doing any of some people do the mock meats, things like that. Just make sure you balance out your meals if you're going to be incorporating those. However, number one, again, is going to be fruit, whether you start the day with that mono fruit, and then from there I typically do blended fruits in a smoothie form, or either just snack on them raw throughout the day. It's going to be the best thing you can do for your body.
Wow.
Without, like you said, an actual client here telling me what their goals are and trying to get them there. But a lot of people think they're in shape, yet they're holding on to a lot of inflammation in their muscles, believe it or not.
Mm-hmm.
So, a lot of people, when they start consuming that higher fruit, they get scared. They're like, I'm losing weight. No, you're just losing a lot of that inflammation. However, you're going to get leaner, tighter, and your body needs to kind of break down a lot of the damage that's been done before it starts to rebuild. You just got to be patient and trust the process.
Gotcha. Okay. Wow. All right. So, do you space out your meals any by chance around workouts? Like if let's say you're going to hit the gym in the morning, 8 a.m., and you're just going to crush it, and your body's just going to be yearning. Anything you're eating immediately after it? Just kind of how do you normally do your food, refueling the body, or do you still space things out?
Yeah, I keep everything spaced out. Going back to the fasting, I usually, my longest, feeding window is usually 8 hours, and I never eat before noon.
Okay.
So typically if it's a strength training day where I'm going to go lift, I always lift in a fasted state, first of all. I know it sounds crazy to your listeners because everybody's so typically amped up on some type of pre-workout or pre-workout meal or something. I go in on a 100% empty stomach, not just cardio. I'm talking about lifting and lifting heavy. A few years ago, I got introduced to this lifestyle. I did some research, and some of your listeners may be familiar with Dr. Noon Aman Ra. He's known as the vegan strongman. He eats one meal a day, where he fasts for 23 hours and eats within a 1 hour period.
Wow.
I actually applied his techniques the last time I competed back in 2015, and people thought I had lost my mind. They're like, you're going in the competition prep, and you're only eating one meal a day or within a 1 hour window? And I was like, I'm going to give it a shot. I competed with a team known as the Vegan Beef Team. It was a team of all vegans down in Miami, New York. This was August of 2015. And I hit the stage, and I've never looked better. And from there, I've been a believer in the whole intermittent fasting. In fact, I guess the judges agreed because I won both classes I competed in plus both the overall titles. So I swept the whole show.
Bam!
I'm not bragging. I'm just being for real. I have never looked better hitting the stage. And I've thought I looked pretty good before, when I really applied myself during the competition prep. But it's amazing what you can do if you let your body rest and stop eating it so much. So that's one thing I would say, definitely do your own independent research on the fasting thing and start off gradual with longer feeding windows, but that's huge. So bringing it back to what you were saying, so from there, I've always trained in a fasted state. I tried to go back to doing a pre-workout meal, whether it was something I thought was light, like, maybe some toast with peanut butter on it or something, and I get physically sick if I eat before I lift now. So I have to go in on a fasted state. It's incredible. I learned to rely on, I always have water with me, of course. I learned to rely on the hydration and just oxygen to give me strength to power through even the most intense workouts. So, yeah, I never eat anything before. Now, after, I don't immediately run and consume a bunch of food either. Typically, my feeding window is pushed back to the evening, and I just kind of let the body go and do its own thing. And then when it's time to refuel, I usually always have fruit first, give about 20 minutes to assimilate and break down in the body, and I'd have my main meal, if you will.
Wow, I like this. I mean, like you said, hey, you're definitely living up to for what I've heard before, and a lot of people unorthodox. But hey, like you said, you're the proof. It works. You got the results to say it. I love hearing this.
Yeah, I'm a little different. I'm a strange person, I've been called. But like I say, don't get me wrong. I still like to comfort vegan foods every now and then. There's some fantastic vegan restaurants here in the Phoenix area that you can catch me at from time to time, which they do serve comfort foods. And, but I still incorporate it within my plan. I'd have that fruit at home, let's say, and then by the time I drive over to the restaurant, then I'm like, okay, now let's, go ahead and get comfortable, if you will.
What is that just, what tempts you? I mean, what is one of those comfort? I mean, when you're walking by, it just calls to you. What are some of those vegan comfort foods? I'm curious. What can break your temptation?
Wow. It's a restaurant here that I think has me under a trance, if you will. It's called Green. It's a restaurant here in the Phoenix area. They have 2 locations called Green New American Vegetarian. I don't know what it is that they do to their food. I mean, they have amazing comfort foods, if that's your thing. I mean, they have, like McDonald's has the Big Mac, they have something known as the Big Whack, which is just essentially a vegan Big Mac. It's unbelievable, some of the foods they recreate that are plant-based. Healthy? Hell no. But comfort foods that are plant-based, no cholesterol. Like I said, it's not the healthiest stuff, but on occasion it does, satisfy that temptation. But like I said, I'm still striving towards that 100% fruitarian status. That's my main goal.
And I'm glad something you just said and brought it up, because I like to remind people about that, because a lot of times I get people, that send me messages or they're talking to me and saying, look, Mike, I went plant-based vegan, and yet, I'm gaining weight. And I remind them, like you said, there's that comfort and, if you will, unhealthy, it's still, quote, vegan, but it's not in the realm like what you're talking about as far as, Whole Foods and all like that. And I tell them, you just got to remember that. Just, again, I mean, there's different varying levels. I mean, there's even different, restaurants, that we even have here in my hometown, Charlotte, North Carolina, to where some of them are very raw centered, where some aren't. And they're all technically vegan, yes. It's just, I tell people, keep it in mind. You just got to know, what you're eating, because just because you, quote, go vegan plant-based, doesn't mean it's instantly everything that touches, your mouth and goes on down in the belly is 100% super healthy.
Oh, absolutely. You're 100% spot on. And there are several unhealthy vegans, if you will. When I speak unhealthy, they may not be getting cholesterol because they're, living on a, plant-based diet. However, it's not the healthiest. I know vegans that weigh upwards 350 pounds, 100% plant-based, but, they do things like make sloppy joes with potato chips and make that into a sandwich and deep fry some potatoes and all this other stuff. And they're happy with it. It's people to go around with their Instagram handles, unhealthy vegan and things like that. So it does exist. I'm not knocking them for it because it is plant-based and not promoting cruelty. They're not contributing to that slaughter and everything. That's the main thing. And if they choose to be unhealthy, that's a personal choice they're making.
Exactly. And I'm glad you even said that. I mean, you and I are so on the same page. I love talking with you. I mean, because I tell them the same thing. Look, don't feel bad because you're doing so many great things for the environment, for the animals and all like that. I just kind of bring it up when they talk to me as a reminder. I'm saying, look, just don't, because what I don't want them to do is, quote, give up, if you will, on plant-based. And there's and just remind them, hey, look, just, if you tweak a few things, you'll get maybe the physical results you're looking for. However, just don't, there's just different paths to do it. So I love you brought that up. That's awesome.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, look, let me ask you now, because I know you've got something big going on that you're putting together. I'd love for you to tell everybody something about a new studio you've got going on in life.
Oh, yeah. It's time to go ahead and roll it out to the masses. So, your listeners, they're out there. What I'm doing right now, I'm in the process of opening definitely the first one here in Arizona. There are others out there in different parts of the country, but the first 100% plant-based fitness studio. I've been in the fitness industry 12 years now, and I had a studio back in the day. Then at the end of my commercial lease, I moved into a bigger facility that some friends were opening, and they had excess space, so I subleased from them, but they're more traditional, if you will. Some of the things or remarks I may have said earlier about supplements and the like, and incorporating animal products. So it's just time to bring it to the masses. What the Health, the documentary, has a lot of people walking around with their guard down. I've got so many calls from people that say they saw it, they're awakened, but what to do now? So I want to be able to serve as that liaison and have a facility that's dedicated towards them. Everybody that trains out here is going to be vegan or plant-based, and it's going to be very knowledgeable. It's going to serve as both for fitness as well as education and lifestyle purposes. And actually, I'm running a fundraiser, which you brought up the Walpole thing earlier. Running the fundraiser, the big one is on Indiegogo under WTF, Join the Movement campaign. If your listeners feel so inclined, they can go and contribute a few dollars toward, and everything that they contribute is going 100% towards the studio renovation costs. I found a space that I definitely like, and in negotiations with the landlord, and got them down to a very cheap per square foot price. However, I'd be taking the space as is, and there's some work that needs to be done in there, a substantial amount, and that's kind of what the fundraising is for. I figured in the Phoenix community, or just in the plant-based and vegan world, that people would love to see this happen, and that's what the funding would go towards. Build out, as far as getting it presentable to be the 100% plant-based fitness studio that I envision. That's what all the contributions will go towards. And we're going to make it happen.
That's awesome. Well, tell a little bit about that vision that, I know obviously, like you said, it's centered on plant-based. A little bit when someone comes in there and I guess talking with you, like what strikes them? What are they going to see? Wow, yeah, I see what he's talking about. And, your vision for how it's different.
Well, the difference is going to be, I may have mentioned earlier how the vegan clientele that I get, they find me and it's like it's a breath of fresh air. This guy isn't telling me that I need to consume, fish, eggs, beef, or whatever. It's going to be that place, like I said, it's going to serve as an educational center for one.
Nice.
Everybody that trains out there is going to be very knowledgeable and lives the lifestyle. I think that's what makes the difference. Not just studied it in the book, but actually lives and breathes and walks and talks, if you will, the lifestyle. They're going to be able to guide people towards a plant-based lifestyle. Now, I brought up the type of clientele I typically get, which are the vegans, and then the ones with maybe seen a documentary, and, those are my favorites. But then the third type of client is the one who follows the standard American diet, however, comes to see me, and I only promote plant-based nutrition, and they scratch their head like, okay, what do I do? This isn't what I'm normally used to or accustomed to hearing from a trainer. And they fight, they resist. But I always tell them, hey, I cannot guarantee your results unless you follow my plan. You are an adult, however, and you ultimately decide what you put in your body. But I would strongly suggest this if you want to get to what your goals are. And they eventually listen and they give in. So that's what it's going to be. It's going to be about getting people off of the standard American diet, getting them healthy, promoting a compassionate lifestyle, better for the environment, better for the animals, better for their health, trying to get them out of that cycle of going from the doctor to get a prescription and then have to go back because this medicine is giving them side effects and this, and just people are so conditioned they don't know how to live without their medications. I see a lot of that, and it's like you don't need it anymore. And it was as simple as changing what's on the end of your fork. Mm-hmm. And that's what I want to do. That's get them cruelty-free. And what I've learned as a trainer is that maybe people don't get it for the animals, they don't get it for the environment, but people are selfish. They'll do it for themselves if they want to feel better. And then once they start, it's almost like a natural progression, and then they start to see the compassion and what's happening to the animals and what's going on in the environment. And it's that natural progression. The animals don't care if you do it for your health. They're just like, okay, that's less of us getting slaughtered.
Exactly. And I love you said that because I tell people all the time that's the one cool thing about like what you and I are doing and everyone that, when they go plant-based vegan is that the one thing you do, just like you just said, great point, irregardless if it's for yourself, the animals, the environment, or something else, it's the cool ripple effect that it touches all of them. And that is awesome. And I love that with your studio. Like you said, just, if you will, just like you said, a place where people can come and be surrounded by knowledge. And I love that because that'll help, as keep people on track. Whereas a lot of times, people just, they get pushed out. Here, go do this. And if they're just told to go do something, then, they may do it for a week or so. But then without that support, then a lot of times they fall off. So I love what you're doing there with the studio. That's going to be phenomenal.
Yes, it is. I'm really looking forward to getting this place up and running and being able to help some people and get them, like you said, get them enlightened in all facets of what the plant-based lifestyle includes. And, even once they get it nutritionally speaking, start to introduce them to other products, whether it's products for the house and definitely, getting them out of leather and suede and the like, stop wearing animal hides. And, that's what I say, it's going to be that total education. Even if we have to start here with just the nutrition, we eventually will get them there. And I usually I'm usually pretty influential. Let's just say that.
Well, all right. Well, speaking of influencing and motivating and people to do stuff, for everybody listening, correct me if I'm wrong, you also have something online going on where, people can be remote but have you, kicking their butts and getting them in shape?
Yeah. This is, hopefully I'll have this really up and running at full capacity in about a week or so.
Okay.
I just recently discovered a platform which does allow me to do that. As long as the person has a Wi-Fi and a webcam, we can actually do live training in real time online. And it'll be group trainings at different times. I got to set up a schedule and everything. But the beauty of it is I can see the person, they can see me, I can correct their form, we can interact. However, the other people that are participating in the group, they can't see each other. But I can interact with each client individually. And that's going to be coming real soon. If you guys are interested in that, if you go to actually my Facebook page, Will Tucker, that's me. There's a link to it that I recently just posted. If that's not available or you can't find that, you can always go to willtuckerfitness.com and just click that you're interested in the online training program. I'm currently updating the website to really get it to direct you there, but if you leave a message, I can definitely points in the right direction at this point.
Well, man, that is awesome. You got a lot of awesome things going on. You're staying busy. Anything else you want to tell people about that we didn't cover? I mean, we covered a lot. I know people, they've probably been sharpening their pencil about 30 times, taking notes with what you've been saying. and of course, I'll put a lot of stuff in the show notes, everybody, and also in the blog post that I do about you and I talking. So there'll be a lot of the information there. But anything else by chance that, you can think of you want to make sure we get accomplished here?
Yeah, it's a couple other things I just wanted to shout out real quick, if you allow me.
Yeah.
A friend of mine, Mylan Ross. I don't know if you know his story. He lives.
I saw his story. You took him. Oh, wow.
He used to weigh over 500 pounds. He lost 320 pounds by going plant-based. Next week on the 28th, if you're in the Phoenix area, or even if you're not in the Phoenix area, get here. He's having a launch party. He's going to be inking a television deal where he's going to be doing a plant-based lifestyle show. So we're getting ready to take it to the masses. He's my number one star client. He's going to be having a get-together for the launch party next Thursday, the 28th, here in Mesa, Arizona.
Wow.
I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Keeping It Real panel. We did a few tours at different Veg Fest, Phoenix, L.A., New York. The entire panel will be there in attendance. We're doing a panel discussion. Yeah, definitely want to be on the lookout for that. I'm on the panel with, I don't know if you guys are familiar with John Lewis, Badass Vegan as he goes by, Dominic Thompson. He's a huge AR activist, businessman. It's a guy named Indame. He's a huge powerlifter. It's myself and Mylan Ross. We'll be doing tours soon with the whole panel coming to different areas. We're going to definitely try to get into a lot of more inner city and economically deprived areas to try to introduce the plant-based lifestyles.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still working on a book that's hopefully I'll be done with early next year. It's going to be dedicated just towards exercise. One of the chief complaints I hear from people is that they don't have time. So I'm making a very, very efficient exercise guide. Hopefully it'll be out early in the year. What else do I have going on right now? Wow. I'm also going to be doing more touring. I guess, miss each other in Charlotte, but I did a lot of Veg Fest this year. I'm going to be at Vegas Veg Fest with the panel I mentioned earlier. We're going to be there September 30th. We're going to be at SoCal Veg Fest October 28th. I'll be at the COVAC convention October 21st. That's at UCLA. That's People of Color, Animal Advocacy, and Food Justice Conference. That's what that's called. That's at UCLA on October 21st. I'm on a panel there with John, Badass Vegan, as he goes by, and good friend Vanessa Espinoza. Also, if you guys are out there, if you're ever in the Phoenix area, my wife puts on a monthly plant-based event called Zen Nights, Z-E-N Nights. That's here in Mesa, Arizona. It's a block party where it's all 100% plant-based food and cruelty-free product vendors. That's the last Friday of each month. It's called Zen Nights. If you guys are on Facebook, please go check out the page. It's like a mini Veg Fest that goes on every month, and that's been growing and growing. I'm so proud of her for putting that together. And she does that labor of love on a monthly basis. It's a free event. And like I say, it's all plant-based food as well as cruelty-free product vendors, a lot of local vendors. They're loving her for giving them a place to showcase their products and foods once a month. Oh, wow. What else am I doing?
Man, I don't know. I'm getting out of breath. I'm out of breath just listening to this.
Trying to stay busy and just really get the message out there. We talked about the studio earlier. Hopefully I'll have that up and running before the end of the year. I'm just really trying to be involved with anything as far as educating people and them to make the switch. We talked about earlier how good it feels. I want everybody to experience how good it feels. I think that would do a lot of good in the world we all see all the negativity in the airlines.
Yes.
I think if we could all reach that place, a lot of that cruelness and madness that you see would be alleviated because people would have a different perspective because they would feel better. I might be wrong. I might be crazy, but that's what I think.
Well, you feel better, and I tell people it's so cool, too. Your taste buds change, and you actually really enjoy the flavor so much more of food when you do this.
Yes. That I know for a fact. When I do those extended fasted periods, there's nothing better tasting than fresh, ripe fruit. I mean, oh my God. I was like, is this really fruit? It's like eating candy. So that is so true. That's 100% true. And that's the first thing a lot of people say when I, start to steer them in towards that whole food plant-based lifestyle. They're like, it tastes so alive now. And I'm like, see what you've been missing? You don't have the taste buds, all that processed crap, and now you see what food should taste like. Now, once we get that intestinal tract cleaned up and you start absorbing all these good-for-you nutrients that taste good, you'll be there.
Yep, exactly. Wow. Well, Will Tucker, thank you so much for coming on. You dropped a lot of knowledge for everybody. Got a lot going on. Thank you for what you're doing to pay it forward so much. Man, well, I look forward. You and I will definitely be staying in touch and talking, and I will be following you. And as you release, that book coming up, boom, I will be, giving everybody information and links on how they can get it, helping you basically spread the word on that, of course. So, I look forward to it. Thank you so much.
No, thank you for having me. I truly appreciate it. To all your listeners out there, you can do it. If you're already plant-based, give yourself a pat on the back and try to get some of your family members and friends to get on board. It's the way to live. You're on the right side of history. Yep.
Exactly. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. Will Tucker, thanks so much again for coming on and for spreading all your knowledge. I mean, I literally, he and I had talked, I'd sent him messages after the show when I was going through editing all this. I mean, I've got pages and pages of notes myself, like I'm sure all of you do, and I'm going to put it up in the blog post and the show notes as well, a lot of it for all of y'all listeners. However, I mean, I'm sure you'd all agree, just some great information there. I mean, when you listen to what Will brought, I love the fact that, I picked up things. I mean, Will, you talking about the intermittent fasting, I'm going to tell you right now, since I listened to your show, or interviewed you, that is, and in between doing all the editing, I now have been doing the intermittent fasting. I like it. And I'm going to continue to do it, just going to see how over the long term it works for me. But it's something I really like. So everyone else, maybe, hey, give it a shot. I'm one of those, I love shaking things up and always trying something new. So, Will, that was great advice there. I love your advice there, kind of what you do. I mean, because people always want to know what successful people are doing, what path they've taken. And, hey, what better way than a 4-time natural bodybuilding champion to hear? And I love that you shared. I mean, you're about 80% fruit in your diet. You're starting out the days with just that one fruit, loading up on that one fruit for the first meal and then incorporating other things over during that eating period for you on your intermittent fasting. And just, I love it. Thanks so much for talking about that. I love what you're doing with your new workout facility. And I really encourage everybody, go check it out, go online, give a little bit to help him out and help get that thing going, because that can start a movement. Start a movement going, across the country. All of us, we keep seeing how these one little seeds planted continue to grow and do things for, just plant-based vegan. And you're seeing it, in restaurants, where now restaurants are adding things that are, plant-based, making it easier and easier to get stuff wherever you go. And I love it. I mean, major grocery stores now. I mean, this is something, a few years back, it wasn't an option for myself and other people. And now all of a sudden, major grocery stores have entire aisles dedicated, for stuff. And so, I like that, and Will, I love so much, also just what you talked about, your knowledge, and also just kind of your take on things, and hearing how people, hey, how you long for the day when someone goes to their doctor, complaining of ailments, instead of writing a prescription, the doctor writes a grocery list. And I think we can all say that, because that's the biggest thing, is that we're all finding out is a lot of the diseases and just problems we have, they're inflammation. And you back the inflammation as the root cause of the inflammation. That root cause is food and what we're putting in our bodies. And so for the listeners out there, hey, look, I've said it before and I'll say it again. I know not everyone listening to this is plant-based vegan, and that's awesome. That is fine by me. I welcome it. I want it, because I just want to put great information out there so you can make your own decisions in life. But at least when you get that knowledge, and also getting recipes, getting, if you will, tips and tricks on how to go plant-based and make it easier during your day, that it can help you and help you make a decision. And maybe you just swap out half your meals in the week, maybe a quarter of your meals in the week. To me, that is still a great thing. You're doing great things for your body, and just continue to pass that information on to other people. And you can, help me out and help me spread this show around, which is what I want to do for all of us. And that is, direct more people to the podcast on iTunes. Make sure when you go to iTunes, just go and, click, the subscribe button, leave some feedback. Or if you go to Stitcher, Google Play, wherever you go, and just, again, tell people about it. Help spread the word. VeganTourGuide.com is where I've got everything, all the previous blog posts and podcasts that have been on, plus some recipes there for you and just other information. So go check it out there. Link up with me on Facebook. Email me. Love getting emails from you. VeganTourGuide@gmail.com. Always respond to them. And I get a lot of insight out of that. That's where I get a lot of the guests, ideas. A lot of times people say, hey, you need to hear about this person or that person. And I love that. And I reach out and, it's great. Again, that's what I want to do is bring all different types of people on here to give you this information because I think it helps all of us relate. The more people we have on. And it is. I mean, it's like me. When I read books looking to get what I call nuggets, like the 1, 2, or maybe 3 nuggets out of something. And that's my goal for these podcasts is I know some people are going to be like me after like Will's podcast here, have pages and pages of stuff they write down and take notes on. Then sometimes, people, they're going to take down a few notes and a few things stick with them. That is great. That's my point every time. I want to just give you information and help you grow along your journey. So look, don't forget, let's help Will out, especially his wife. Like he says, he's got that cool thing going on called Zen Nights. So if you happen to be out there in the Mesa, Arizona area, I've been out there before, beautiful area of the country. Hey, go check out Zen Nights when she's got that going on. Go by his studio. You got to go check out the studio. And like he said, you can go on Indiegogo and look it up there. WTF, Join the Movement campaign. But like I said, I'll have that in the show notes and in the blog post. But go help Will out with that. Follow him. WillTuckerFitness.com, Facebook.com/Will Tucker. Go check it out. Check out what Will's got going on. Lots of great things he's doing. Plus, hey, like he said, he's put that together. He's going to launch that soon where literally he can train you online. Imagine that. From the comfort of your own home, get a top grade butt kicking by an actual champ. I'm going to get into that. I'm going to give it a shot. I think it sounds very cool. He's going to do that. So everybody, thank you so much again for all you do and helping make this show continue to grow. And until next time, everybody, live Pura Vida.